Good evening, everybody. Glad to be back finally. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Let's move into roll call. Joey Bryant.
Here.
Maddie Crowell.
Here.
Julia Felici.
Here.
Shelby Hamblin.
Here.
Alex Horning.
Here.
Dr. Martin Kennedy.
Here.
Lacey Lemkins.
Here.
Renee Skiles.
Here.
Patrick Stanton.
Here.
Stephanie Tretchell.
Here.
Jeanette Webster.
Here.
Moving into the approval of the this week's minutes.
Agenda.
Excuse me, agenda.
Oh, wait, that's me.
Yeah, right.
That would be it.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this week's agenda. Stephanie moves. Julia seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving into the approval of the past two meetings minutes. Please review that. Yes.
I move to approve both meetings minutes.
Shelby makes a motion to approve both the past meetings minutes. Is there a second? Maddie seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Motion passes. Moving on to the reports for this week. I have no reports for you.
I do not.
I have a couple pieces. One, and again, I do appreciate, I know last week we had issues with quorum, just based on a few pieces. That is primarily also based on, just as a reminder, we have 3 open positions currently, with 2 faculty positions that haven't been filled throughout the year, and then 1 student position. So again, I appreciate everyone's efforts and attempts to be here. We have a handful more, and I know I don't anticipate we'll have any issues with it. Also on that note, we do have a student who, once it's approved by the dean, will be filling the position, which is Kane, who is sitting way down at the end of that. So welcome, Kane. Coming in as well to fill for the rest of this year and also serving as the exec VP next year, so he'll automatically be on the committee next year. So good transition for him to see how this operates and works coming into this, so welcome. The other part I have is just as a reminder, 2 pieces. One, we don't meet during Source Week. So the week of the 18th? Mm-hmm. Okay, glad that's the right day. So we won't be having our meeting then. We will be having our end of the year dinner where we'll wrap things up on the 30th. So we won't have our official meeting here. The only business we'll have is really approving the minutes from that, and then any last items that Lacey or myself may have just as advisor pieces and for the year-end report. With that, though, and we don't need to discuss it right now, but we will need to determine where we're going to have dinner at, somewhere in town. If there are thoughts or recommendations from the committee, we can discuss it either now or, again, I'll bring it up next week. But we'll have to decide by next week, so that way we can make the reservations and get those moved forward. So that will be open. Typically, we do the dinner at roughly our normal time, and it is open for other individuals to come. They would have to pay for themselves, though. All the members of the committee are covered, but any family members, significant others, things along those lines, pay for themselves. So I don't know if there's questions or.
Where has the committee gone before?
We have gone to the Kebab House, Roadhouse Grill, and there's one other, and I can't remember the other.
Palace?
No, I think maybe Dakota. What time?
Oh, Dakota Cafe's really
Maybe. Kebab was last year. We did Roadhouse 2 years, and I know I'm missing a year. I'm trying to think of that one. I don't remember.
But it could be anywhere.
Yeah,
It's
it could.
just-
It could essentially be anywhere.
It can't be if there's
in town.
somebody under 21. We can't go to the tab, right? But past that, it could be any restaurant.
Not anymore.
Okay.
So if you think of them, I will bring it up next week. I mean, if people have ideas, you can shoot an email and we'll discuss it. But otherwise, please come with ideas. Otherwise, I end up throwing out a suggestion and we go with whatever that is. So that's all I have.
All right, moving into public comment first call. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, moving into old business, voting on supplemental funding request 1843 for the photography trip to Portland in the amount of $900. Table's open for discussion.
Do we have an update for what the balance left is? Although that's not, oh, it was up there.
So currently we have $45,403.37.
10.
Maddie?
So I feel like $900 for 10 people is nothing, basically, and all they're asking for is gas, which would be their way there and back, and then their Airbnb. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the full amount.
There's a motion on the table in the full amount. Alex seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the full amount. Moving on to voting on supplemental funding request 1844, the Pacific University Undergraduate Conference in the amount of $602.92. Table's open for discussion.
Wasn't this the one where it was just her? No,
No.
this is 6 members.
Oh, yeah.
Jeanette?
Again, I think that this is a good opportunity for them. Any conference to send our students to is ideal. I think that was what we said at the beginning, one of our priorities, to make sure that they get those opportunities. It sounds like I actually know one of the girls who's presenting as a bonus, and so I would like to make a motion to approve it for the full amount.
There's a motion on the table in the full amount. Shelby seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the full amount. Moving on to voting on supplemental funding request 1846, the Child Life Club Annual Conference in the amount of $5,475.76. Table's open for discussion. Yes, Shelby.
Can we get a clarification on how much they're asking for?
I know this request says something, but their presentation, they changed the amount to $5,475.76.
Can you say that one more time? Because I have it.
It's right
something
here.
else
I
written
thought
down.
it was $5,125.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I thought it was the 100 something. 5,100.
Joey.
I had 125.76 on the minute.
That could be what it is.
They're here if you want to
Yeah.
ask them. They're ready.
Yeah.
Oh, hi guys.
We had already received 1,300 from a previous meeting that we went. I didn't go to it, so I'm not exactly sure who it was from, but we already received that part, which is why there's a discrepancy
I think
on the paper and what we.
So what's the number?
What Vinay has in the minutes.
The number that I heard somebody say was like 57 for, what, there was a number.
5,125.
That one's right, 5,475.
Okay.
Okay.
76 or just 5,125.
76.
I guess I could look at that. Yeah. Yeah, 5,125.76.
Yes, Julia.
They've done a lot of fundraising for this, and they've done multiple fundraisers, and they obviously would have asked for significantly less if they could have gotten money from the club at Senate.
Yeah, that.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve it in the full amount.
There's a motion on the table in the full amount. Jeanette seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. in the amount of $5,125.76. Moving on to voting on supplemental funding request 1848, the Western Psychological Association Conference, in the amount of $2,154.89. Table's open for discussion. Julia.
We're taking 17 students and they're only asking for a little over $2,000.
Who's
I'd
that?
like to make a motion and approve this in the full as well.
There's a motion on the table in the full amount. Jeanette seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the full amount. Moving on to voting on supplemental funding request 1849, the Atlantis Medical Fellowship in the amount of $5,700. Table's open for discussion.
And as a reminder, we have a member who is part of this, so they'll excuse themselves from the conversation and abstain from the meeting. That was more for everyone else. I know she knows that.
Yeah. Whatever it is.
That's already funded, yeah. Talk show circuit.
I wasn't here, so you guys talk.
I can answer any questions as well.
Have you had any updates on it? Did they give you any new news?
Bank won't give me funding unless, I think I said that last time, unless you guys approve it. Parents can't co-sign for obvious reasons, bad credit. I got $900 from them, I think the same day. So they gave me a scholarship, or I guess it's called financial aid, which helped, which brought that down to $5,700. I got SAS for $300 because it's just me going. And I've been trying to get the DHC and other departments to help me pay for it, but it's not a quote-unquote conference and it's not more than one person going. I've also done a GoFundMe. I've only gotten $250 from that, from one donor, and I've posted it to my Facebook probably 10 times. I've sent out emails to family and I have not gotten anything back. So this is kind of my last stop. That's kind of where I'm at.
So that $5,700 is just for you.
It's just for me, but it's a fellowship in Spain where I would be getting, because you weren't here,
Yeah.
I need about 100 hours of shadowing and like clinical experience in order to get into med school. And I'm in this application round and I only have maybe about like 20, which is not quite enough. And I can't get as much shadowing experience here in the States because of HIPAA laws. So being able to see the surgeries and be not in it, like I wouldn't be performing surgery, I would just be able to watch the being clear, would not touch anybody, but I would be able to see more and understand more about how health care systems are operated overseas and both take it back to the Americas, where I don't really get that opportunity here. Just like HIPAA, 1, 2, not very many surgeons are willing to accept shadows, and that's really what I want to do. So I don't really want to be a pediatrician. I've shadowed, done that, but it's not, I'm like, I really want to be a surgeon. So this is kind of my one ticket opportunity before, and you have to be an undergrad. So I've taken out a course, well I will be, if it's confirmed, to still be a student over the summer.
So you're able to get funding.
Yes,
Okay.
so that I'm still quote unquote an
Okay.
undergraduate student.
Okay.
So the minute I graduate, I, 1, can't do the opportunity, and 2, I can't obviously get funding.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yes, Stephanie.
I think this is a cool opportunity. I would like to make a motion to approve the funding request in the full amount.
There's a motion on the table in the full amount. Alex seconds. Is there any discussion?
Normally, I wouldn't necessarily be in favor of this amount for one student, simply because there's been so many students that have come here that have been unable to get funding elsewhere. However, with it being the end of the year, at this point, I feel as though this is what the budget is left for, and if somebody has not come and requested at this point, it may be, I would rather be empty with 3 weeks left to go in the quarter than have money left on the table and somebody missed out on an opportunity. So I think this is something we could definitely fund.
Is there any further discussion?
I mean, I would just, to counter, not in this, but with the statement that Alex made, is I think well, I understand the statement you're making on that, and this is not in relation to this, but this is just as we move forward, is that we do want to make sure we're still being mindful and intentional So that way we're not, essentially, we don't want students who ask for money earlier on to have gotten a different rationale or justification because they asked ahead of time.
Absolutely.
So as we're moving forward, I think we want to keep the same level of rationale and justification that we would have, whether this was back in November versus now.
Absolutely.
Because we have increased, and we can still increase, but we don't definitely need to use it all.
So Joey, I know it's not uncommon to have somebody that's on the committee be part of a club or part of a group going on an activity. I don't remember it ever being the one person themselves being the sole beneficiary. It doesn't mean it can't happen.
Yeah.
It sets up an interesting situation for discussions. I'm wondering if this has occurred before, if you asked that person to leave the room before, or,
To answer both parts of that, one, no, we haven't had, at least in the last 5 years now, we haven't had one individual who was on the committee coming forward making a request that was only for themselves as a benefit. Again, we have had others, as we've had this year and as we have coming up here in a minute, to where we have multiple members who are part of a club or an organization that's coming forward within it. So it is an allowable piece. The hard part is that it is that interesting part that really within our guidelines, they're not allowed to participate in the discussion part, again, because there's that undue piece, and they're not allowed to vote on it. But the challenge being asked them to leave, since it is an open meeting, is where we have that. The committee can choose to request that if they would. I, as the advisor, would probably encourage us against that simply because it puts that person in a weird spot. But it does put the committee in an odd spot of having to vote, especially if someone, based on their take or things, would normally have voted no, does put them in that interesting piece.
It makes it a thing where if there's a question somebody might want to ask, they're in a little bit of a compromised, potentially.
Yeah.
But there have been other trips funded by the previous committees that were one person going to, I want to say Bangladesh, and one going that just went to Israel.
Yep.
I mean, this is not uncommon.
No.
It's just those students were not voting members of the committee in the room when it was discussed. So.
We could go.
No, I'm not. I just want to make sure we were following the rules, if that was a rule or not. It is an open public meeting. So.
Yeah. No. Good questions for discussion on there.
You mentioned other people going. I'm not the only one going on this trip. I'm the only one going who's asking for money, and to Barcelona. So there's 5 people going, but they will not be asking for funding because they have the funding already secured, which is great for them, but I don't. But it is a trip, and we all are part of the AMSA Pre-Med Club. So it's really complicated. And again, I'm totally comfortable like walking out if you guys feel uncomfortable with me here.
I would just say point of information. I think, again, you're fine to be here. It would just be limiting any part of discussion or information you're sharing, because then that would be pieces other people would have the opportunity to do. Yeah. And I think and again, I don't want to speak for Pat, but I think Pat's question was really, do we have a precedent to where a student who's on the committee comes forward requesting funds, that the funds are only going towards them and that benefit on that side? And again, we do not. We have had members of the committee come and request funds to where they're a participant, and we have had requests in the past to where only one person is coming and getting the money benefit. So each individually, we just haven't had, again, at least in the last 5 years. I had no clue before that. So.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the full amount.
I was going to say Jeanette abstains.
What's that?
I said she hadn't raised her hand, but I was like, she abstained.
Yeah, I was like this. Like.
Moving into new business, supplemental funding request presentation, 1850, the Sherman National Conference, the amount of $1628.01.
Some fine looking people up on that screen right there. Who are those people?
Dang.
By the way, if you don't want to fund the 1 cent, that's fine.
Don't say that.
It's just the middle button that switches it.
The arrow or like the second.
There, okay. All right.
Did it work? Here. There you go.
It is on.
Well, I
Hi. Well, anyway, my name's Alex Horning. For those of you who don't know me, I am not only a member of this board, but I'm also the director of finance for SHRM. I just want to go over kind of what HR is and what SHRM is. So HR is basically the hiring, training, and managing of human capital within a company, which basically means the people. We're the people that help make the people better at their jobs and make sure that the right people get into their jobs. Nowadays, with business going the way it is into more of a technology focus, people and intellectual capital is an incredibly important thing for a core competency and a competitive advantage within a company. So HR is, thankfully for us, becoming increasingly more important. So we're really excited about that going into our jobs here. What SHRM is the Society for Human Resource Management. It is a global organization with members in over 165 different countries. 165 different companies, I bet there's a couple more, and about 285,000 human resource professionals there. So we are the student chapter for Central Washington University. There are a few in Washington State. Our sister chapter is actually AVHRA, which is the Apple Valley Human Resource Association. We actually have a really good relationship with them that we'll go into a little bit later. So what do we as a club do? We specialize in professional development, and we do this through a number of different ways. We help people look at resumes. Being HR, we do a lot of time interviewing and actually tailoring resumes and looking at resumes, so we try to help students with theirs. We also spend a lot of time in the actual interview process, so we do mock interviews. We also have a lot of notable speakers come in to talk about their experiences, not only just in HR, but also business in general. We think that having an outside perspective gives people a little bit more of an idea of what they're going to be going into once they actually graduate, and more than just what the textbook can teach them. So we try to spend a lot of time giving people that opportunity. We also have spent a couple opportunities to actually go and check out different companies around the area. The most notable one and the most recent one is we actually got a tour of the Treetop facilities in Yakima, which was fantastic. Interesting fact, it's actually called a double-breasted company because there are two factories side by side, one of which has a union and one of which does not, which creates an interesting dynamic for the managers and the HR professionals within that company. So these are the kind of things that we specialize in and we talk about on a regular basis. So the SHRM National Conference is going to be housed in Chicago this year. It is an awesome conference with a huge amount of different companies. And basically what it is for us, it's an opportunity to go and see more professionals from a variety of different locations outside of Washington State. And actually, let's go to the next one. Actually, wait, one more back. Sorry, this was just, yeah, back two more. Sorry, this was a really, no.
Back, forward?
That way.
This way?
That one. Yeah. Sorry. This was an interesting thing. I'm not using this on you guys, I promise. But on the SHRM website, there's a tool called Convince Your Boss, which is giving you 5 different steps on how to convince people to let you go to SHRM. So I promise I'm not using that, but I just thought that was really, really funny. Anyway, moving on to the next piece. Okay, so here's some notable speakers and notable people that are actually going to be at SHRM this year, and we'll have an opportunity to see and learn from. One of which is obviously the governor of Florida, which I thought that was a little interesting. I was not expecting that, but we have people that are notable figures within Facebook and United Airlines. I know a couple people that have actually worked at Facebook recently. They say it's a great company, and this is an awesome networking opportunity for us as students. For the majority of the people that actually go to this conference, they're not students, so this is an opportunity for us to get a lot of individualized attention because we get information that not a whole lot of students have access to. Oddly enough, we have also been spending a lot of time on what's called a merit book. Actually, you've been spending a lot of time on that. You've done a fantastic job. Last year, the SHRM, or our SHRM squad team club went over to the SHRM National Conference in New Orleans, and one of the things that we noticed was that there are actually some schools that can get awards for what's called a merit book, which is you basically fill out this merit book and you do specific activities and events in order to gain recognition through the national organization as not only a SHRM chapter, but an exceptional SHRM chapter. And this year, you've been spending a lot of time and you've done a fantastic job, and we are actually eligible for this award this year. So we are very excited about that, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to actually look at that. So. Yep, we're good.
I'm gun shy.
I'm just gonna have you go back and forth a couple more times. So here's just kind of a budget breakdown for you. It's $345 per person. There are 5 people going, 3 of which are undergraduates, 2 of which are actually going to be graduating seniors, but I'll get to that in half a sec. Airfare is about $496.60 for the 5. It's pretty simple math going straight across, just multiply by 5. For the hotel, we actually are not staying in a hotel. We found an Airbnb for a great price. We'll all be in the same area, so it'll actually cut down our food costs as well because we're not going to be going out to eat. We can actually go to a grocery store since we have a fully functioning kitchen, and we can create group meals for a much more inexpensive and affordable price. We also are putting together just an Uber cost just to get to and from with the Airbnb. We're obviously not in a hotel that's right next to the venue, which is a conference center there. So the Uber is what will help us get there. For how much we've actually gotten through this, we actually have given, we're basically covering all of the registration costs for everybody that's going out of our SHRM account, and that's funds that were not raised by us. Those were funds that were in our account to begin with, so that's a little bit of a separate thing. This year we went to the Gorge and we raised $1,500, well, technically $1,562, and we're putting all of that towards our costs as well. And then we also met with AVHRI, and we've developed a really good relationship with them this year. We've gone to their meetings and been involved with them, and so they actually were very generous and donated $1,500 to us this year. So we are all, the only thing really left for us is $1,628.01. Basically, with the 2 graduating seniors, their costs will be coming out of our club account or the fundraising or the AVHRA. Since these are not coming from the school, there's no issue with that going to seniors. And then basically, if we don't receive this money, it'll just be divided evenly amongst the people that are going. However, with everything that we've done this year, we are really hoping that this can ease the financial burden for not only students that are going to be here next year, but also students that are going into their careers here. Any questions? Yes.
So,
The lovely
and I'm guessing
Jennifer.
I already know, but still to ask, because it's not on here, what are the anticipated costs out of pocket for, I know you said whatever's not funded, but
Yeah.
based on the budget you have broken down here, what is the anticipated cost per person?
We are going to be in Chicago, so we're really excited about that. So anything else that we want to do in terms of going and seeing the sites, I know there's a couple of places that are really, really interesting. One of the things that we've been doing really well this year is updating our social media presence. So we've been using a lot more pictures, a lot more videos. We've been utilizing the our College of Business ambassadors. So if we want to go and show and get some people interested in our club, we might think about going out and just checking some of the sites and getting some cool pictures there with our club members to use as advertising for the future. So those would all be out of pocket because they're not actually related to the conference. Those are just for our own personal enjoyment, but also for advertising in the future.
Julia?
It's not really a question, but in addition to that stuff, we do all pay SHRM national dues as well as chapter dues every year. And we all pay for our food and transportation to and from the airport, just to add on to those.
That's my favorite.
I believe I can make a small adjustment to the when we're going. It's due 15th instead of the 6th. I'm flying out this 15th instead of the 16th, just in case that matters.
But the cost is exactly the same
Yeah.
for Stephanie.
So you're going to?
Yes.
Any further questions? Jeanette?
It is really not important, but on your slide it said 2,000, I think, in your club account. Or is it 20,000?
No, that's $20,000 in our club account. Our club has been very fiscally conservative and very, very, very good with it, if that makes
So you
sense.
have
That
20,000?
money's been around since before our advisor was even working here, and she's been here for at least 10 years. That money actually goes, for the most part, to covering registration for people that are interested in going this, but we also, as a club, have given out scholarships before. The last one was about 2 years ago, and that's very unheard of on this campus. So it's pretty amazing that our club has been able to do that, and fun fact, that's actually coming from our club used to do golfing tournaments with alumni over at Suncadia.
Yeah,
and that's
I heard
how a
about
lot of
those.
that was accrued.
I was just curious. I saw a decimal and I was like,
Yeah,
oh.
no, that's not too bad.
Any further questions? I think you will vote on this next week.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Moving on to supplemental funding requests. 1851 Pacific Northwest Conference in the amount of $310.13.
It's okay, I was doing the same thing up there.
mouse and click, or do you want me to click for you?
It's only 6 times,
Oh.
so it shouldn't be too
Right.
She's gonna try.
I need to go back 5 times.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to follow, Alex. But my name is Eric Stotts. I'm the president of the CWU Economics Association here on campus. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. So in May 20th through the 22nd, we're sending 10 students to the Pacific Northwest Regional Economics Conference, which is in Tacoma this year. It's been all over the Northwest in preceding years: Bend, Oregon, Vancouver, BC, Montana. This year in Tacoma, so that makes traveling a lot easier and cheaper. Yeah, thank you. So what we're requesting tonight is $310.14. This is the remaining balance to send the 10 students to the conference. We have already secured funding from SAS.
I thought my chair was going by.
I have no idea what you meant.
Thank you. Secured funding from SAS and Career Services for a total of $1,800. And what this remaining balance will go to is to help supplement the remaining hotel and registration fees. We have funding for the band that we're taking over to Tacoma from Career Services. We have what the conference is about. It's a collection of students and professionals from the Pacific Northwest. There's regional economists, state economists, labor economists from a myriad of states: Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Montana, British Columbia, and I think Wyoming. I'm not sure about that. So for the students, it's a great learning opportunity because you really get to see what research is being done in the field of economics in a variety of different fields, whether it's labor economics, energy economics, environmental economics. You get to see a variety of different sessions and really get a feel of what's happening in economics today. And you also see other research that universities have been doing, other professionals have been doing. So that's one of the points, and it's a great networking opportunity for economists, student economists, because there are economists there, obviously. So whether it's a private company, a state-ran organization, universities, for graduate schools even. It's a great networking opportunity. And we're also having students presenting at the conference, myself included, and 3 others, 2 undergrads and a graduate student. We will be presenting on the cannabis industry outlook, kind of what's happening with EOC. We have a bunch of data that we've been able to collect because of the 502 data initiative, which requires companies to report their earnings and pretty much everything the company does. So that's very unheard of in any industry. So we're doing a lot of analysis into how the industry has changed over time since legalization in Washington and where we think it's going to go and different determinations and that kind of stuff. So we're presenting that. And that's kind of the main gist of the conference. You could go to the next one. This is just kind of a brief thing of some of the economists that are going to be there. We have Dr. Raha, which is the Chief President, Chief Economics for Eaton, University of California, Berkeley, Oklahoma State. These are some of the names being going there and presenting with a myriad of others as well. Any questions?
Stephanie?
Yes.
Did you mention if there's any, or what's the breakdown of students who are going like class-wise?
Okay, so the breakdown, I haven't actually done that.
It's just like, is there some seniors but some returning students who are going to be back next year?
Yes. So about, I want to say 5 are seniors, and then the others are sophomores. We have a freshman and 2 juniors, I think. So there's diversity in the class standing.
Just curious, I'm from Tacoma. What hotel are you guys staying at? Like, where's the conference?
So it's at the Hotel Murano.
Okay, downtown. Cool. Are you staying at the Hotel Murano as well?
Yes.
And then how were the members selected to go? I know 3 of them are presenting, but how were the other members determined to go?
The people presenting obviously are going in. That was a priority. And the others were selected on a merit-based, basically their involvement in the club and how active they have been and the research they've been doing and that kind of thing. And it was kind of more of a selective, subjective, I'd say, process. But we want to obviously include as many people as we can and as many people that wanted to go. But that was the criteria for who's going and to where our break-even point would be.
Shelby?
What will you guys be bringing back to Central to help benefit the other economics students?
Oh, okay. So what we'll be bringing back is some of the, because we hear about other economists and the research they do, what they're doing. We're going to be bringing back that information and applying what we learned in our lectures to and doing our own research. That's the main focus of the Economics Club, is to foster economic thought and research beyond the class lecture. And that's kind of the primary thing that I think we'll be bringing back, is just the thought and the industry insight that we can share with other students and help out with the economics department, as well as the presenters. It's going to get the university, the College of Business, and the economics department on, like, more people will hear about it, because there's not a lot of research being done in this industry right now, because it's fairly new and not a lot of people kind of want to do it a whole lot. So that's definitely going to get more of the central name on the map, so to speak.
Thank you. I have one more question. I just wanted to clarify the dates you guys are going. Because I felt like you said something other than what we have.
So the dates of the conference should be May 20th through the 22nd.
Okay.
Does it say something different on
This
there?
is the 22nd or 24th.
Is it 20th?
It is the 22nd through the 24th.
Okay.
That is my mistake, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to check.
I just have a lot of dates in my mind. Everything mixed up. My apologies.
Any further questions? Thank you. We'll be voting on this next week. Moving on to communications received. Haven't received anything.
No.
Okay, nope.
Moving on to public comment second call.
Just as a reminder, and then I'll do the others, if you want to send me any ideas or bring them next week, we've already gotten one email about a suggestion for dinner.
We're all sitting here. Who sent the email?
What
did you say?
It was Starlight.
Yeah.
That's
Are you
food?
surprised?
No.
Is that drinks or food?
So we will bring it up next week
Or
and make a
send it back
decision.
Just to
Cheese.
clarify, the funding is to cover the meal,
Yeah.
not anything
Food.
that
They
pertains to alcohol.
can't, the state can't pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Mac and
adult
cheese is
beverages
not
dinner.
coming out of your own.
But mac and cheese is not real.
Salmon mac and cheese is amazing.
No, I'm talking about like real food.
Anyways, that was Any further public comment?
No.
I don't know if this would be a public comment, but how would you guys feel about voting on both of these things
I'm good
tonight?
with that.
Since they're just two. Unless you guys want to think about it.
I have
Shelby?
a follow-up question. Do we have quorum if 3 of our members can't vote on this?
They would still count as the
Okay,
quorum. They would
okay.
just be abstaining.
Okay.
That's one of the things we talked about earlier in the year that sometimes make a challenge, or if there's one of those conflicts. When we discuss setting up the committee, we talked with Alex and for Kane to be aware for next year, is if we have students who are all part of, we'll say, one club, and that club comes to present, they all have to abstain, which
So
means
then
you only
how do
have
we
3 or
vote?
4 people able to vote. Because in reality, let's say all the students are part of one club, that would mean that our faculty and staff
Have to then
members
vote.
are the only ones
Got
who can
it.
vote.
Yeah, started an S&A
Which would mean this
committee
year
club.
it would only be Dr. Kinley and Pat, the
We all just
voting
go to the
people if that came
Bahamas.
up.
Create our own
So, yeah. So we want to keep some pieces there, but yeah, it still counts for quorum, assuming they are physically here next week.
So what do you,
So are we
do you guys want to vote
Yeah, I'm
tonight?
Were you making a motion
Is,
to?
can I entertain a motion to vote on
Second
both
it.
of those thingies tonight.
You can.
I second.
There's a second for that motion. Any discussion on the motion?
Although I would probably recommend that someone else make that motion since
I make
Matt-
a
Oh yeah.
motion.
Well, I'm not going, so.
But your name's on.
My name is. That is his fault.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
never
going.
mind. You're good. You can make the motion.
I'm
then.
not going.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
Okay, I second the motion to vote on the thingies.
Any discussion?
miss you guys.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Any
Wait,
opposed?
To vote.
No.
This is
To vote tonight. This is the motion to vote tonight.
Vote to vote.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to
You don't have to. I just was for.
moving on to voting on supplemental funding request 1850, the Shared National Conference, in the amount of 162801.
And just as a reminder, point of information, the members attending and going on this would want to abstain from discussion or abstain from voting.
But she's not going, so she can still vote and talk, right?
But I'm a part of the club, so I'm
She's
just
a
gonna
member
abstain.
of the club,
It's
so
fine.
it impacts her in some way.
It's
She
fine.
would have
So
some
it's-
bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's you two, and then
It's just you and I.
and then the advisors.
Oh, they
Because the four of us.
Pat and Martin.
And
But if it's just us two and we both vote the same way, it's still a positive. 2 is bigger
It's the
than 0.
majority of the people that are allowed to vote. So
If you
there's
have a
two
potential
people-
conflict,
So then we win.
Yeah.
So then we win.
Yeah.
Then we win. That's a challenge. I make a motion to approve SHRM National Conference 162801 in the full amount.
There's a motion on the table in the full amount. Shelby seconds that motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I was like, you have to abstain.
wow.
Any abstentions?
I'm gonna tell Nancy.
Motion passed in the full amount.
That did not just
I abstained to my own trip.
She's going.
She was
too.
removing herself so much from the discussion that she wasn't.
I don't want to go anymore.
I want to pay my own money.
Moving on to voting on supplemental funding request 1851, the Pacific Northwest Conference, in the amount of $310.14. Maddie?
Again, like I said earlier when we were voting on the other thingies, this is a very small amount, and they're just asking for the remainder. So I would like to entertain a motion to approve the full amount.
There's a motion on the table in the full amount. Alex seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
I jumped the gun.
It's okay, we're all eager. We're
Moving back
hungry.
into section 10, public comment, third call. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Maddie moves, Julia seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? This meeting is adjourned at 6:43 p.m.